How about now? What the deuce? Oh, you can hear me? You can hear me. Okay. Wild. Absolutely unhinged. I'm going to turn this down because it is a little bit loud and I'm going to end up yelling. And okay. Alrighty. We're going to go ahead and restart. I now know that cold tires are a thing. So we're not going to just dive bomb the whole field, because half of what I want to do in here anyways is I want to see how the AI works. So get mighty close to the back bumper there. Alrighty. I think we got things set up now, hopefully. It's very, you forget how narrow Spa used to be. And now, like, the whole countryside is just flattened out. Just looks so different. Car shrieking like a demon. This thing does seem a little tail happy here on the first lap. This is my first go with everything. I have been reading on Reddit the last couple of days a lot of people's opinions about the GT cars, which we'll take a look at a little bit later. I kind of figured, you know what, the LMP2 cars from this era really kind of cool because they're almost to the point where they were competitive with the LMP1 cars, and that would come a couple of years later, really, well and truly. Although, if memory serves, I think Dyson Racing won at Sonoma in like 2005 or 2006, but it's kind of a freak occurrence. Whereas a few years later with the Porsche RSE Spider, you know, they'd start winning overall with some regularity. Also, I feel like I got no brakes. This is what happens when you jump right into a race with zero practice. Decent pass from the AI there. You'll love to see it. Not flat. Yeah, I just feel like I don't have... I don't want to say grip, because it's not... It's not grip per se, but it's like the car is on top of the track. which I think is kind of one of those Automobilista 2 things, to be entirely honest, where it's just kind of, that's just the way it is. And I think that's really why a lot of people, either they get it or they don't. I'll say this thing doesn't have... At least here in the default setup, which... I mean, you'd have to figure Spa would probably be a default setup kind of track, you know, within the ballpark. I feel like this thing doesn't have the grip and downforce that I would have expected. So, I mean, we're not running a heavy fuel load or anything. I would have kind of thought going up the hill here would have been close to flat out. Pretty much easy. And yeah, maybe it's the aero wash. Hey, we got a track limits violation. Shocker. But maybe that's just a little bit of a... You forget just how grippy every car has come with 20 years of tire technologies, where the point GT3 cars are now going up the hill flat out, like... Suppose back in this day, it's pretty much exclusively F1 cars that were able to do that. Or like lower level Formula 3 type things, you know? This car feels like an absolute rocket, though. Which we are driving the turbo version. So I suppose that's probably why. It feels like nothing happens and then all of a sudden... thing's just a missile. You can hear the little turbo whistle. Yeah, I'm sure with a better aero setup and actually going in, working on this setup. You get that corner flat. Yeah, he's backing out for no reason. It's not that great, but I will say it does seem like they've... They're not as clumpy as they used to be, although saying that, I do see that they're 3 wide up there, doing some sorts of silly shenanigans. Yeah, we did about 295 kilometers down the straightaway. That's, what, like 180? Thing's got juice. I love it. This car's actually... I really like this thing. This is a legitimately funny car to drive. Because your brain is thinking, oh, it's an LMP2 car, it's not that old. Of course, then when you think about it, it's 20 years old. But just the way it goes, it drives like the Group C cars here, where it just wants to just go absolutely absurdly fast in a straight line. It's a total missile, which is not what I was expecting. Got to remember to brake earlier. I mean, like, the rate that this thing gains speed is just absurd. Nice little 3 wide around the outside there. Still got one. Pretty impressive. AI going defensive. Gonna steamroll this corner because I've done that every single lap so far, even though I feel like I'm deliberately trying not to. And yeah, even with the tires up to temperature, it still feels like the car is like on the track and not like fully gripped up. Yeah, it's just... I need to take a look at what the wing settings are on this thing, because it just feels like there's no front end in this thing in high speed corners. It's like, did they just put all the rear wing in the thing and then it's just totally powerless? Alright, let's see if we're going to lay back here. This car is silly, man. This thing's just a silly little missile. I'm just totally cheesing right now. I do wonder, is the V8 version of this car going to be half as fun? Because I imagine the handling is going to be pretty similar, but the engine in this thing, it just gains speed like nobody's business. Alright, slower corner than you think in this thing. I think it's kind of interesting that they did 2005 Spa. Obviously, that's within the realm of the pack. if I remember correctly, wasn't this like the 1 year where they had that version of the bus stop, and then they like redid it again for like the 4th time in 5 years? Once again, they're going 3 wide, so I think the clumping still hasn't been resolved. Woo. Same thing again, every time. Yeah, I just don't know how to get this thing around a high-speed corner. Alright, so the turbo absolutely smokes the V8. The turbo is the one you want. Come on. Don't be weaving in my way. The AI up here is absolutely going psychotic, racing amongst themselves. Gotta say, if you like Automobilista 2, I think you're gonna like these cars. Based on this one initial experience. Because this thing's a hoot. Alright, we got a couple more laps here. On lap 9 of 10. Alright, it's flat with no aero wash. Dirty air is a thing that has just been confirmed here. Just missing apexes left and right. Ah! Well, that happened. Thought you had a heel and toe. You know what? I don't know if it's correct, but we'll give it a go here on this last lap. So I already screwed things up anyways, and we're just here for the funsies. I don't have the H pattern shifter or the sequential set up right now with my current rig, so I am paddle shifting, but we'll give her a go. If only just because it's fun. Stick. Gotta remember, car doesn't turn in at high speeds. Just go straight. It's like sometimes it sticks, sometimes it doesn't. Kind of like my braking into the bus stop here. Well, chat, that's going to do it, as apparently the sun has come out here at Spa. Alrighty. Alright, let's move on to the next one here. Alright, I'm going to try and set things up here for another one. Alright, I'm going to just go run back through chat here while it's kind of busy here. So we'll see just about where... Let's see here. Alrighty, so chat here, hook me up here. How are the audio levels and all that stuff? Let me know, because I don't know. I'm trying to figure out here where we're at here. So I think that might have been from the beginning, and hopefully we got things set up here. Yeah, no carbon brakes. That's pointed out by a user in chat, and yeah, I guess that probably does check out, and that would explain why this thing seems like an absolute missile that does not stop really much at all. It's actually pretty impressive, to be entirely honest. Like this car, this car is pretty silly, hilarious. Like, I like it. We'll skip the V8 powered Lola here, and let's see here. Alrighty, chat. Which LMP1 car are we going with? We're going with the Audi R8, because of course you'd go with the Audi R8 because it's the Audi R8, the greatest Le Mans car in the history of mankind. That isn't the Porsche 956 or 962, and sadly forgotten about far too often. The Courage C60, because I mean, what a great customer car, I guess you'd call it, or that weird time where there was the Dallara that was strangely competitive every now and then at total freaking random, if memory serves me right. With the good old Chrysler after they dropped the Viper program. Okay, game sounds a little bit quiet, so we'll go ahead and bump it up just a little bit. It's so hard because when I do the videos, I basically just record and then I like alter the video as needed, alter the audio levels, whereas and yes, the Duran livery is in here. Just because you guys were talking about that, I think that is like the look for this car in my mind. Even though technically, I guess probably the actual like factory Chrysler probably should be like the thing you associate with it. No, it's that car, and just the couple moments of terrorist that thing unleashed. Alright, but it seems like y'all want the Audi. Who all drove that Audi back in period? Literally anybody and everybody. There's a reason why Audi was a freight train that was unstoppable. Because when you have, Tom Christensen, Alan McNish, the weird guy that always live in my memory for some weird reason, because he was just a guy that was always there and it wasn't Marco Werner. Anybody remember that guy? Like there was that like 3-year span where like towards the end of the Audi R8 where he was just like the guy that Audi put in when it was go time, and it's just like what's going on here? So I guess we'll do 2005, and we'll start. Really grinds my gears. Something that, if anyone from Reza Studios listens to this, the thing that really grinds my gears is when you click number of laps and you go up. I'm just clicking up and I want to go to 20, and theoretically 19 is after 20. But no, it's like when you're pressing the time in the microwave. It just doesn't work. Just drives me crazy. It's just a pet peeve. I'm sorry. It is what it is. let's go ahead and 103% seemed to work out pretty decently for screwing around. Okay, let's see here. We want LMP1 2005. We want LMP2 2005, and then let's find where they put it, because it's always a struggle with me in trying to remember what they called each class. GT1 2005, GT2 2005. And apparently that's the, oh, there we go, it's selected. 47, my computer will burst into flames. Oh, why do we have... Time out here. Alright, we're just gonna go with 35 and see what happens. And we'll say... We'll just start 10th. That should put us in the LMP1 cars. We're not going to run a qualifying session. But I want to see what happens when we catch up. Because hopefully we should end up catching up. So, anyways. Yeah, JJ Leto had that like span in the early 2000s where that guy, how that guy has like been kind of forgotten about, just how insanely good he was in sports cars. He also had a really cool helmet with the feathers. It's just like, there's a guy that today you just doesn't get remembered about because he dominated in sports cars. And it's a shame that we, as a society, do not remember dudes who just went absolutely crazy in sports car racing besides Tom Christensen. Okay, so front downforce has 0, 1, and 2, which is probably going to be like a, you know, Le Mans package, 1 dive plane, 2 dive plane type thing going on here. So I'm guessing the rear wing probably wasn't actually maxed out. We'll just leave that alone. But seeing how we were talking about that with the Lola, whether or not that was just balanced a weird way. I don't want to play around with this stuff because I just want to see how the cars are going to drive right out of the box before you get into things. But it's good to know what they were trying to do anyways. So go figure, the baseline setup is a baseline setup. Okay, so we got 10 LMP2 cars, or LMP1 cars, 8 LMP2s, 9 GT1s, and 9 GT2s. So a very balanced and somewhat realistic. Granted, I don't think this LMP1 field is quite super realistic in terms of the breakdown, but alrighty. Oh, and my computer's already bursting into flames. Triple screens, man, they're more demanding than you think. And also, running at in the evening, probably not the greatest idea. Oh, we're going to go green right middle of the corner. Alrighty. Let the games begin. Are we sure this isn't just the iRacing version of Road Atlanta? It's strange how something so old is not really that nostalgic. Although I do know that iRacing finally updated Road Atlanta. So I guess that's not really all that accurate anymore, but you know, jokes. Yeah. Alrighty, so far, chat, I'm just going to go ahead and say this car isn't as fun as the Lola. You can already tell this thing's got just much better everything. Ah! Alright, we need to get the frame rate back up in here. But hey, I guess this way we'll get our way through the LMP2 cars, hopefully. This car definitely feels much more secure. Whereas like the Lola felt like it was on top of the track, this feels a little bit more like hooked up. Although again, in saying that, it's still Automobilista 2, and it still has that feel that people are either going to love or hate. Also, I know it's not an apples to apples comparison, but the speed this car generates compared to the Lola with the turbo, it's just... I think it just goes to show how mental that car is. There we go. Starting to put it together a little bit better. Although the AI is conga lining hard right now. It's just like you're constantly chasing the rear end. some of that you can work with in the setup, obviously. You know, default setup is never going to be perfect. Let's be real. Can't drive and read chat at the same time. I haven't advanced to that level. Woo! Nice little power slide there. Alright, so we've caught back up to the LMP2 cars here, more or less. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm kind of disappointed how on top of one another they all are. You know, along with this content pack, there was a bunch of AI updates that were sort of aimed at, partially at least, addressing it. As we can see, we're still Congo lining. Just like that, my tires just turned to jelly. Whoa! And got hit with the banana peel. I mean, they're an LMP2 car takes you to Gapplebee's. Oh, we got GT traffic. Let's see what the AI does here. Yeah, they just make an absolute mess of it. Where are you going there, guy? Here we go. This is what we're doing this for right here. It's just one of those things where unfortunately the AI can't do it. And this game doesn't have the player base to do this in any sort of environment outside of a league, which means that this content, even though should be cool and exciting and awesome, is just going to be so underwhelming compared to what it could be in the right environment. Somehow we need to come up with a racing sim that can actually handle multi-class AI. I didn't catch it right. Well, that was a pass. Yeah, this car is just so... so much better than the Lola that we were driving. In the sense that, like, it's just a very different experience. This is more in lines with what I expected that car to be. It's like, this thing doesn't feel like it's an absolute missile. It doesn't feel like it's a rocket. It just feels like it's a very well-balanced, kind of nondescript car. We'll say the LMP2 cars, though, they got some speed. I mean, honestly, looking at the way that just played out and the way the last car drove, I mean, the brakes might actually legitimately be the biggest difference. Obviously, this car is a heck of a lot easier to keep it on the track than the other. Looks like there's some more cars up there. How many laps we got? Let's see here. We're at 13 to 15. 2 more laps here. See if we hit the GT1 traffic. Can't quite make out what these cars up here are. Oh, yep. I'm sorry, I'm just of a certain age where this appeals to me. This seems right. Ah! Ah! Okay, we're alive. We're all good. Oh boy, that's a lot of cars. That's a lot of cars. Hey look, it's that not Kit Kat car again. Like, just the gloriousness. Just GT cars, open top prototypes. Sneaky, sneaky. It's the last lap. You got to send it, right? Like I said, I like it, but at the same time, it's like the AI can't handle it. But it is fun. It is very fun. Yeah, so the lap times actually weren't that bad, so we were doing decent. Although obviously we did have that spin, and then we ended up finishing 6th, which means that if you were to do any, the problem I have with these cars and any game whatsoever is that it's so good. It's such a, the GT cars of the time, the prototypes of the time. That is, you know, that was those were the good days. You know, those were my days. You know, when I was a teenager. We'll just leave it at that. But it's just my favorite mod for any racing game ever was the Sports Car Challenge mod for F1 Challenge 9902, which was basically like 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003 sports car racing. Like, it was like a 4-year chunk. And that is just the absolute like, these cars aren't as cool as late 90s champ cars or anything like that. They don't have the same appeal, but when you're going down the straightaway like we were doing there in that race, and just that mix, it's just right, which I just wish the AI could properly handle it so that way you could actually run the cars in the right environment without having to turn up the difficulty way up, because you're just going to absolutely blast through them in traffic like an absolute madman, and it just ruins the racing, honestly. But all right, we're going to do some GT1. So our choices are the DBR9, the C5R, which is kind of a weird selection for 2005. Not the wrong selection, but C6R win, especially with the DBR9. You know, just saying. Probably in the next pack. The Viper, the Murcielago, which is my favorite car in GTR2, or the MC12 GT1. So chat, it is up to you guys. Yeah, there is no Ferrari 550 in this pack, and I think I was reading the other day that apparently there is a 360 GT stand-in, but I think the word on the street is the 550 might not get the exact same treatment, because the more you do stuff like that, the more that becomes kind of a problem in the long run. Alrighty, I think Team Viper is winning this one in the chat. The question is, what track? We're gonna do the 2005 version of Le Mans, which is probably like the least exciting track in this pack, but it is the last track in the pack that we got to take a look at. And of course, we will take the white and blue stripes. At Most Sport. Oh yeah. There's so many tracks you could run these cars though. Like Watkins Glen would be great in the mixed class. VIR is just a great track that people should actually utilize more often, because it's the Nürburgring, but without the you make a mistake and then you have a very bad time. And obviously, you know, you got all your classics. Santa Cruz probably wouldn't be that bad. Salvador, always a great one for street circuits. Alrighty. But yeah, kind of strange that they didn't do a 2005 Most Part, actually, now that I think about it. Because all they would have had to do was just put gravel and be like, yep, the job's done. Yeah, but that would be another great track to run, and also period correct. Actually, you know what? We'll come to Le Mans last. We'll come back to that. Alrighty, chat. I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. Decide the track. Doesn't have to be from the new pack. We'll come back and do a little race at Le Mans after this one. So this is gonna be the Viper GT. GTS or GT1, depending on what class it, what time frame. I mean, of course, Daytona is, you know, Viper stomping ground. Alrighty here. No, the 2005 versions aren't just visuals. They have some track layout changes. But the Spa is basically just a different bus stop and a different source hairpin and the whole track and all that. So, like, it's really only two corners that are super, super different. Road Atlanta is basically the same thing in terms of the layout. Le Mans should be the same layout as it is today, if memory serves me correct. So, like, Spa is really the one that is appreciably different. All right, Mosport or Sebring? I think that's the. We're doing Mosport because you know what? That's just a great track, and we're gonna do just single class. That way we avoid the. Avoid the hassle of the way AI always interacts with itself. So we can turn that down. We don't. No point in having that many cars out there when we're not going to see them that many. We'll do another 15 lapper, and we'll just start daytime. Just do a nice sunny day. Wall has some changes, Tetraroge and Porsche curves and the chicanes. Oh, fun! Because I think 2005 was after they changed the Dunlop Bridge, wasn't it? If I remember that correctly. It's kind of one of those things where 2005 is, again, like this weird time frame for, like, historic tracks because there are still a lot of, like, 90% the same layout, but they are appreciably different in, like, the visuals. Alrighty. How many laps are you doing here? Oh, it already filled me up enough. We'll just check, see what the downforce is. So 6 is right in the middle. And we'll leave that alone. And we do got a high downforce front end. Now, theoretically, the MC12 and the DBR9 should be a good bit faster. So that'll be an interesting thing to keep our eyes on. Oh my goodness! What is this seating position? Do I have a control bound? What is this seating position? We are sitting in the sky booth. Yeah, sure. That's a bit better. If anything, we might be a little bit too low for visibility, but what pedals are those? These are the old Huizenveld Sprint pedals from probably like 2016, 2017. So these are not the ones that you can buy today. I like this random fuel gauge tacked in. It's pretty neat. We're just going to pretend for our purposes that we have one of the Vipers that got a sequential. So now I don't have the H-pattern gearbox set up here. Which is something I need to get around to doing, but it's just been a bit of a low priority. This track is so disappointing, though, with the modern paved runoff. Because there's nothing quite like running wide in turn 2. And then you get into the grass, like within iRacing. That was always like the most, oh crap, moment in sim racing, because you knew like at that point there was literally nothing you could do and you were just screwed. It was just like you had a good like 3, 4, 5 seconds to think over your life decisions that led to that point. Okay, so far on power, you can just absolutely hammer this thing. Who would have thought that a Viper would have been less demanding than an LMP2 car on the throttle? Kind of weird. Yeah, based on what I was reading online and just kind of extrapolating based upon like the GT3 cars here in Automobilista too, this was not what I was expecting at all. Like, people were making it sound like these things were absolute missiles, and you had to be careful on power down. A real challenging beast to drive, and it's like, no, this thing is. This thing is honestly easier to drive than the GT3 cars were previous to this update, at least. It's like the GT3 cars before this update, and they did get a small... Get off of me. Get off of me! Okay, we're gonna pause here so I can explain. But the GT3 cars before this update, and this is a thing that has been widely talked about, they were always like power sliding through the corners, and that's why people be like, oh, there's no grip, I can't feel like there's grip. Even though, like, I did a race at Road Atlanta in testing just like a week or two ago, and I was turning lap times in race configuration that were like the pole time for the race. It's like, so the cars are clearly going, if anything, too fast. But because of the way the grip is presented, people get this thing where there's like no grip, and like the car's constantly sliding around. But this thing is like the opposite. This thing doesn't feel like it's sliding at all. It doesn't feel like it's moving around at all. It's just, you have all of the grip and you go. Like, this feels more like the GT3 cars in other games than the GT3 cars in this game, which is kind of strange. Like kind of strange, with no No ABS, no traction control or nothing. Like, these cars feel more gripped up and natural to drive and more beginner friendly than GT3 cars, which is strange. I don't know. Like, that's not me saying I don't like these cars by any means. And not to mention, I've only driven one of these cars so far. You know, in the GT pack, but like, this feels so different than most cars in Automobilista too. Because it is even like the GT3 cars were, you know, particularly power slidey. Whereas I kind of explained when we were driving the Lola earlier, like on top of the track. Whereas this, like, feels very different besides the high speed. So if for some reason you have Automobilista 2 and you know you have all of the content, so you got the Seasons Pass or whatever, but you haven't really clicked with it, I would say probably give the Viper a try from what I'm seeing. I do feel like every single corner I end up overshooting in this game. It's just... it's like you have to turn it in way early at high speed. What a great track, though. This track needs more love. You know, people always complain about racetracks nowadays are, you know, too samey, too safe, too sanitized. This track's like the exact same that it's been for, you know, 60 years. Send the prototypes back, dang it. Try to bully the AI. This is the guy that wrecked us in the last race that we had to abort. So you know what? Screw you, guy. I mean, it's just it's just bizarre driving prototypes. It's like, oh, you gotta be careful on the throttle, and then jumping into a Viper. It's just like, oh no, things gripped up. It's like either there's a lot more left in these things, or they've taken a pretty different approach here to something. Yeah, we still got clumping with the AI. I gotta say, if they could get the clumping figured out, just need to take that corner in fourth gear. If they could get it figured out, I think the AI would have, people would look at the AI a little bit differently in this game. Because I don't think it works bad. It's just, it does things that make it look worse than it otherwise could be. Because it's like they legitimately are trying to pass one another. And maybe we just need to turn up the aggression to high. Because I think we're on medium, but it's like they're already going through the grass trying to pass one another. I don't think it's... This track is so bumpy. We're about halfway through this race here. I mean, I suppose it's probably pretty accurate that for 2005, the Viper be holding up everybody. Give me a gear, please. Run wide, extend. take the track limit and get some extra exit speed. It's not cheating if it's perfectly legal, right? Ah! It's just that perfectly straight line of cars. I'm trying to read a comment here while we're driving. Probably shouldn't try and do that, but hey, we gain time, so maybe that actually makes you faster. Again, grabbing third gear. Thing is, it's not a perfectly straight line of cars. It's like anything but a perfectly straight line of cars, which is actually really impressive because in like every other game, it's a perfectly straight line of cars. It's just, what are you guys doing? You know, like they take different lines and they like look like they're trying to pass, but they just don't. So it just makes it look even more ridiculous. Okay, we're gonna put some of these guys in our rearview mirror about here. Because it's like, why are you taking a tighter line when you're not going to go for the pass? It's just going to slow you down. And I understand the AI can, you know, cheat and defy physics and all that stuff, but it just makes it look silly. Yeah, that would be just about the sketchiest move around there. A little bit of contact in the left rear coming down the hill. What can go wrong? Get off of me! Also that annoys me about the Automobilista AI. Car contact can be like glue. It's like, that should not have been a problem, but instead we got like super glued to his car. That makes it look like I just tried to run him off the road when that really wasn't what happened. Because how is this Viper guy still in front? Like, how am I supposed to take this seriously? I'll say this car is a hoot though. Just gonna steamroll on by. So if that Corvette has 0 straight line speed. If you no longer go for a gap, you're no longer a sim racing driver. Don't forget it, kids. Alright, we got 2 laps left here. This is the battle for 3rd place going on up here. First and second must have left the building a long time ago. I just killed all my speed there. Alright, Viper guy's gonna do me a solid. Also, why are we driving so slow here? There's no way. Yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. Yep, R.I.P. me. That one is straight to the hospital. That's one of those moves where, like, if it was a natural race, wouldn't have gone for it. But you know what? You just send it from there. So yeah, Viper. Viper's pretty dope, man. I like it. Yeah, so our difficulty is pretty well calibrated here at 103. So that's good. Oh, man. Alrighty. So, chat, what would you like to see? Yeah, I'm just going back, reading through the comments, and Cade mentions the C6R and then the C5, and I 100% agree. I think it's really weird that for 2005 they went with the C5R, even though I guess it makes sense in the same context that the Viper makes sense, where it's a car that existed. But when I think GT1 racing from this era, I think DBR9 C6R was just epic rivalry. You add in the MC12 and FIA GTE, like cinema, as they say. But I would not be surprised if that ends up coming in a round 2, because I do think I think there's a good chance that this is going to be popular enough that they're like, oh, hey, let's go ahead and print some more money. We already labeled part 1 or whatever it is, so. Alrighty. Let's see here. Y'all are talking about Project Motor Racing or whatever it is. I'm just going to leave that at that and just say Ian Bell is really great at marketing. Don't forget that. Yeah, there's no Celine GT1, the S7R, which is... I was driving that thing in a Assetto Corsa with the RSS GT pack the other day, because with going through everything, setting everything up, I revisited a bunch of content, and that thing is just such a hoot. Alright, so we gotta do some GT2, we got the Porsche, and the Milano GT36. And also, oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna... I got a problem. I have a problem here. Because we have LMP cars from 2005, 2005 LMP2 cars. You got GT1 cars, or GTS, I think it would have been an LMS at the time. And then you got GT, which is correct. And then there's the weird thing that GTR2 had happen, which irks me, because this car goes in this class. Instead, we did the GTR2 thing, which I think happened because of the whole history with this car, the thing that should not be, the V8 powered M3. It should be with these cars, not in its own separate class, which slightly bothers me, but it does. But anyways, so GT2 with one of the Milanos, Porsche, or the M3. And I mean, yes, if we drive the M3, we are taking one of the two great liveries that exist. spot on Nords when they ran the car in '05. It had its own class. Yeah, it had its own class, but this, to me, this DLC pack, even though this isn't an FIA GT pack like GTR2. This is sports car racing from that time period, which to me means something like ALMS, where those two cars would have absolutely ran together, and Porsche would throw their fit about it because the BMW was a cheater car, and therefore it's absolutely awesome. But racing sims, because GTR2 did it, we just conveniently forget that this car belongs with these cars, and instead I guarantee it's going to be the same thing, where this car is like 4 seconds a lap faster than the GT2 cars, and it's going to make it so that way it's this weird car that's really cool and really awesome and was really great in GTR2, but it has no home. Alrighty, so we're going to go to the M3. I did see someone earlier mention Kyalami. Yeah, Sebring. You know what? I'm going to skip Sebring because the next video I have going up on the channel is from Sebring. So therefore, just in the interest of providing you guys different content, we'll choose to not do that. I don't know. It just grinds my gears. The M3 GTR and racing sims just. I know it makes sense. There's reasons, but just smack that thing with a baseball bat, kneecap it, and put it back with the cars that it would have actually raced with. So that way, we don't have. Watkins Glen is. Yeah, let's go with Laguna Seca. Long Beach is another great one, but I feel like I always drive at Long Beach in this game because I'm just interested to see what happens when we do multi-class. I don't know, it's just a personal pet peeve of mine, and I doubt anyone cares about it as much as I do, but you know. Okay, wait a minute. Is it going to default to putting the GT cars ahead of... Oh, we were on high aggression already. This pack desperately needs Panos. Yes. I mean, would this been the time frame where they had the Esperante and GT, or would that have been like 2008? Alrighty, so the BMWs do get put in front of the GT2 cars, which is good, because if you're going to have the fast cars, it wouldn't be up ahead. We'll just take a look here, downforce levels. Okay, yeah, so they literally just went baseline is baseline, and we just need to keep that in mind. That baseline is indeed baseline. And also, holy fuel efficiency. 29 liters, 22 laps. I think the Viper we were at like 40 liters for 15 laps at most part. Alrighty. But yeah, I hope we get a Panos pack, because that'd be the jam. Alright, let's drive the BMW Cheater Mobile. Doing a Seika 15 lap race again. Whoa, 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 okay. Okay. I had my foot to the floor and then they just, unsurprisingly, just... Race starts now. I was not expecting that, and then with the lack of force feedback on the starts, it just... Oh, we're going now. Okay, this car's already got less grip than the Viper did. Okay, first impressions. They got the gear wind turned up to about 1 billion, which is nice. Although the car just does not sound right to me at all. It's been a while since I've watched some onboards, but just sounds something. Don't mind me, we'll just sneak on through. Probably not the right line through that corner there. Oh, TVR mentioned in the chat. I saw that. Sign me up. I love weird British cars where it feels like I'm sitting on the door sill. It's really fun. It's like, geez, they didn't even put me in the cockpit of the car. Yeah, I mean, this feels similar to the Viper compared to other cars. Get off of me. Thank you. Like, compared to the other cars, at least in the past, and we'll probably need to go take a look at the GT3 cars and see what the tire update that they did. It doesn't feel as much like I need to just get to really high slip angles to the corners. Which I think does definitely help make things feel as if they are grippy. So I would say I wouldn't be surprised if people like this car more than other cars in this game. Also, this thing actually feels like it's got a front end on it. I will say the AI seems to be a bit slower in this car. Ah! Things were going too well. Because yeah, honestly, it feels like it's just been tightened up. And I think that I should probably wait for the tires to cool down a little bit. And I think the reason you often see people say that this game is floaty is because that you really had to drive at relatively high slip angles to get the thing to actually do anything, to get the grip. Which I'm not going to necessarily say it's right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just that's just how it feels like to me, and I think that type of physics creates a situation where you have something that feels less connected. Son of a biscuit. I did it again. Here's a fun test. We'll just drop in here. Suppose we'll be able to see. Be able to see after the race on the timing screen just how much faster we were able to go, obviously, but But yeah, that's it's the GTR2 all over again. Alright, well, we make it through the corner again. Bro, we spin it out again. So I keep trying to use second gear. This would be a nice big old flat spot. I still don't really have the best feeling of grip on corner exit in this game, but I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, how much do I want to complain? You know, at what point are we just playing these sim racing games for fun? And does it matter? And I'm sure someone's going to take that the wrong way and take it out of context, but it's like, do you fundamentally enjoy the game and the experience that you get? And or do you understand what's going on? I don't know. Just along that note, it's kind of like one of those things where if all the other stuff didn't matter, then you know what? I'd probably still be playing the original Automobilista, you know? Or, you know, in this case, I'd just go play GTR2 some more. Definitely do feel like the rear end is definitely the weak point. If I want to look into trying to get some more grip coming out of the corners. If you're going to go ahead and jump on into the setup. Yeah, I will say as the tires have worn off a bit, I've got more of that feeling I was talking about with the GT3 cars, with just kind of not necessarily feeling like they're in grip, but yet they are. Really need to avoid that thing. But see, for me personally, I don't mind, and I think maybe what I'm going to get at here is I think the reason why so many people have so many different opinions on sim racing all over the place and all the physics and everything is everybody's got their driving style, right? And I can very easily understand a lot of the complaints of Automobilista 2 and understand like where they're coming from and all that. But then I can also understand that, you know what, maybe this just works better for me. Maybe the fact that out of the box on like every single car with the default setup as it is. Bubba's racing. You know, chasing the rear end constantly. Maybe I'm just fine with that because it's just kind of how I like to drive anyway. So, you know, it just... You know, I was driving a Le Mans Ultimate the other day, and GT3's at Spa, because LMU has quickly become my like go-to choice of drug. And someone in that video that I uploaded, they were talking about the traction control settings. Oh my god, AI mistakes are a thing now. They were talking about the traction control settings and all that, and I basically ended up running the Lambo at Spa with like the minimal traction control. I was like, okay, now I get it. Because otherwise I just couldn't get that car to behave the way that I wanted to. But instead it's like, okay, once we get the traction control effectively darn near turned off, I can now get this thing to kind of slide the way I want on corner exit and help me make it through the corner. Alright, we got 2 more laps to go here. Yeah, I really don't know about this car after the first go here. Like I don't think it's bad. I just think it's one of those things where because it is kind of stuck in this weird oddball situation, which is, again, understandable. It's understandable how we end up with this car in its own class. I just think it makes the car worse, and it makes the class worse. Y'all can fight me in the comment section. But I know I am correct. So deal with it. But yeah, once you get the tires, it does got that iRacing thing going on where once you get a little bit too crazy with the cheese whiz for the next couple of corners, you can definitely tell your tires are screwed. Which isn't a bad thing. It's just one of those things where when you play different games, you end up with... They all do different things, and honestly, having been playing a bunch of Le Mans Ultimate, I haven't had that experience of, oh, hey, I overcooked it. Like, massively. Now my tires are totally hosed. Sometimes you need to be reminded. That's a thing that happens. Alrighty. Okay. 126, where were we? And for some reason I'm British. I need to change that. I'm not British. I feel insulted. 123,902. So yeah, at the same AI difficulty, I was running 2.5 seconds, roughly, faster than the field. So the AI in this car definitely has got some slowness problems. And then, yeah, Alrighty, chat, what do we make of this? What do we make of this? Because as I sit right now, as I did that race, I was 2.5 seconds a lap faster on an AI difficulty that was working out just fine on any of the other tracks, and I was within reason of my best lap versus the AI. I spent a lot of time complaining. About how this car should be in the GT2 class because it just makes way more sense. And the lap times are like a second-ish faster? Am I doing something wrong? Am I going way faster than I should be able to go because something isn't quite right and the intended speed is like this 126, mid-high 126, and it's supposed to actually be like, okay, yeah, it's faster than the Porsche and the Milano because it's the BMW M3 GTR and it is a cheater car? Or is the AI just slow in these cars? Alrighty, here. Alrighty, here. So, I guess the answer is Milano GT36 or Porsche RSR. Which one are we going to go with? Alrighty. Alright, I'm not going to complain about the M3 GTR anymore. Although I am going back to the chat and people are talking about it, and yeah. Okay. Close your eyes and click through them until you stop. Okay. This is probably going to be like the last section of the video here of the live stream. But what I want to do is one of the issues that ruins this track in any racing sim. I want to see if this is better, because if you know what I'm talking about, you know that as soon as you race against the AI, which, let's be real, is how this game is going to be played. You know, I'm not even going there. When you change the wing for proper configuration, you end up just blasting past everybody. And therefore it defeats the whole point of the fun. Yeah, and for those of you guys who aren't familiar, this is the Milano GT36, which is we totally couldn't get the license to Ferrari for a 360, but yeah. Yeah, Kate, I'm not going to add all the classes because it's one of those things where, with this being Le Mans, the track is so long we're not going to run into traffic anyways. Okay, so we just want to check. Rear downforce is our only option. And it's at 4, so it is defaulted to like a medium, very medium downforce. And actually, let me go back, because the M3 GTR is screwing me over. Ugh. Well, that's good to know that they like default to 4 wing. At least. It's like one of those things where it really grinds my gears that like I should not need to go in here and assign AI default setups for like the most important track you got. Like, it's a 2005 endurance pack, you know, like I'm going to take it to the 2005 version of Le Mans. Please make sure that I don't just pass everybody with like 10 extra miles an hour right out of the gate, or alternatively, like I'm not doing 150 miles an hour because you got max downforce on the thing. Just alrighty. Still haven't fixed the fact that I'm British. Cup of tea, governor. Anyways. So I got this set up for a 6-lap race. I don't know if I'll complete this race or not, and then I'll go do like the same thing with the Porsche. And I'll take the wing out of it and just see if it gets absolutely ridiculous. I can already tell you, here's something that's ridiculous. Okay. Cool story. Bollard going flying. Accidental dive bomb, because this thing has... You know what? Screw it. I'm not gonna restart. What's the point of restarting? They're gonna throw me into a wreck anyways, coming out of the last corner. Oh yeah, this is very different. I forgot. I forgot how different that is. People are saying the first chicane's different. I can't remember why this would be different, but we'll see. Alright, yep. We're pegged. And she keeps pulling. $292. It feels like we ran out of revs, and then the thing found an extra gear. So see, this thing redlines at 9,000. I can't drive. I can't drive, guys. That is for dang sure. But yeah, that was weird. It's like you get into 6th gear, and it's like it just kept pulling. That was not what I expected to happen. Or is it you just need to rev the snot out of the thing? Oh hey, I guess this area's got grass rather than the paved shoulders. Oh god, oh god. Okay, okay. We're gonna recenter ourselves. we're gonna recenter ourselves and restart the race. And okay, just not try and start with a qualifying lap. Let's just get the car in the race around the track. We got the Red Sun Porsche 911 there. You know, usually I'm pretty nice when it comes to silly bugs like that. They're like, come on. Come on. God, this car has no brakes. You remember that's more of a corner now. Ooh, glowing exhaust. You know, I remember the first time I saw the glowing exhaust thing in sim racing. It was like, oh, that's a really neat effect. Yeah, that's so cool that they added it, and then it's... Now it's like one of those things where it's just like, oh, of course they have that. And of course they're proud to show that off. I don't know, it's just one of those things where it's just one of those silly things that feels like they overdo it because it's cool. Just gonna squeeze on in here. Okay, the brakes do feel a bit better. Just with the brake bias change, so I don't know what the default was, but I wonder if it's just ridiculously far forward. Three wide. Whoa. Whoa. A little clunky downshift first there. Yeah, I just caught a little bit of that curb there, and then it's chaos from there. All right. All right. You know how I was just talking about how, like, understanding the cars and all that stuff? I don't know about this thing. Okay, and maybe it's because I just drove that BMW, but I feel like this thing just has no brakes. And it's probably a case of driving in a lower downforce configuration. Makes sense. Yeah, I'm not feeling this thing. It's like I have no idea why I spun back there. I'm sure if I look back at the footage, it's like, oh yeah, that's what happened there. But like, it's just. But just like stability on the brakes. Maybe just don't use first gear. Alright, we'll see if we can figure this out a little bit better here. Yeah, see, this car feels different. There's something... Like, going through the corners there is... kind of like what I was talking about with the... cars where, like, it feels like you gotta just try and drift through the corners. It felt like we were power sliding through that whole thing, even though the speed was consistent. It just... Which is really weird when other cars in this same pack, like the Viper... like, didn't have that same sensation. I wonder if we took it out here, or would we get the same thing, or... But we're doing a little better now. I really need to move my chat window here. Yeah. You get that curve, it's just not happy. I mean, honestly, so far, this feels like the most difficult car to drive of all the ones that we've tested, which is very surprising. Which makes me think, what's the Porsche going to be like? So if this thing's unstable on brakes... Felt like there's a bit of rally racing there or something. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just brake temperature and... or what, but I just do not have feel for what in the world the car is doing on the brakes. We can get track limit violation here. Also, another thing that's different than the 2005 track, I kind of mentioned it. Yeah, the Dunlop chicane has been moved a little bit. Which also throws you off because it hasn't been moved by that much. But it does look very different. Ugh. Yeah, this thing is... This thing is definitely much happier when you're just braking straight line, and just like maybe it's a case of just recalibrating, and you know, obviously this is a track with its own challenge because the straights are so long and the brakes are going to get overcooled and all that, but it's like, geez, right there we just slowed down like 5 miles early, which is not what I was expecting to happen. It's like, I'm not blaming the car. You know, that's... My driving could most certainly stand to be better. It's just like, I'm not connecting with it, and I'm not like, oh, I want to get better at this car. This is just like, yeah, I probably won't be driving this car again. Like, this doesn't do much for me. You know, it's just kind of there, to be entirely honest. But I'll also say that I generally preferred the Porsche anyways back in GTR2 days. So, didn't really have high expectations or hopes for this car. This wasn't something I was really on the excitement for. But it is pretty wild because this does feel like it's entirely like borderline different game from all the other cars that we've driven and other cars. Other cars here in Automobilista too. So we got 2 more laps. What have we got going on here? what are we doing? What are we doing? Oh, we gotta drive through track limits. Oh no, whatever will we do, the FIA is gonna park us. Meow. What you guys don't see right now is I'm really interested in seeing how the Porsche drives, because if it drives anything like this, oh, that's going to be a death trap. It's going to be fun. What you guys don't see is I got a blinking little yellow light on the side of me that keeps saying drive through. And it is so oddly distracting. It's just like right in the right angle where it just keeps blinking. It's like, oh, what's over there? Hell yeah. Now, if you guys thought that was the coolest pass, make sure you like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell. Sorry, guys, had to. So let's be real, that pass was awesome, and you know it. It's a thing of beauty. Yeah, it's like the car just... It like rotates so much that it just... Like, I don't have any feel for how much it's actually rotated. We're Congo lining. Alright, so one more lap. And I guess no more laps. Because we just got DQ'd. Damn. That sucks. We were doing so well. Alrighty, sorry guys, but I gotta get a screenshot of that pass. Just cramming it through the middle. It's not the car, it's just the nature of the track and character of the car. All the cars handle different, some are infuriating, some fun drive. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not, again, I'm not saying one thing or the other than I just am not getting along with this car. And that's pretty much that. I'll be interested to see when, oh, is it all... Never mind, guys. I guess we... Wait. Okay, we're somewhere in here. I guess when you fast forward that much, it freaks out and causes all sorts of chaos. Should be somewhere right around in here. That is ridiculous. The fun thing with AI is you would never get along. You would never be able to make this move online. But with AI, they just have a tendency to be like, "Oh, you know what? I'll get out of your way here. I don't want you hitting me. I don't want to get in your way. Sorry, Mr. Player, sir. Sorry for the inconvenience. But here it's just like, if I fits, I sits. Yep. Just perfect. Just thing of beauty. It's like there's no reason whatsoever to sorry, I didn't mean to say that. There's no reason whatsoever to look at this and be like, hey, you know what? There's a gap big enough for one Milano GT36. Let me just go ahead and yeah, that's not something you should ever do, unless you're racing the AI. But anyone with a brain would have gone ahead and scooted their Porsche over just a little bit and just been like, no, your car is just not fitting here. But the car feels like the back tires are rain tires, and I don't really have any other way to explain it. As I did 3 laps and then went back to the Viper. Yeah, I feel like that would be a pretty decent explanation of kind of the feel. So we'll see if the RSR is any better. Which, just to make things equal, we're going to take it right back to Le Mans. So that way, you know, if it's just, oh hey, these cars when you run them at this track are just kind of going to be that way. Really want to do a league with these cars though, not gonna lie. Yeah, this whole pack with the LMP1 cars, the LMP2 cars, like, it is such a great time for racing. Granted, I say that because, you know, everyone's got nostalgia for their own certain time span and all that stuff, and like for me, I'm drawn more to this era than like WEC of like 10 years ago or whatever, even though, I mean, that's pretty cool as well. But okay, what am I doing? Okay, rear downforce was at 4, which was basically the same for the Milano. So again, default setup. But yeah, I mean, it'd be awesome, but you would have to find the right group of people, and I don't know if there's enough people even playing this game to begin with to make that actually viable long term. Nah. I already like this car better. Because flat 6 is best 6, as we all know. Don't mind me. Just muscle that guy out of the way. Yeah, the problem is you have to find all the people who want to do that. You know, it's like not everybody that's gonna be playing this game is gonna want to run in a league like that, and you know, have the time and everything. And like, I don't know, maybe things are different than what I think, because I've been away for a long while, and you know, things have changed. Like maybe, you know, any one of the way too many different competing online racing sim online race finder services, I guess we'll call them. You know, maybe they can do something with it and get participation, but I don't know. Yeah, I already... I already feel far more in tune with this car than with the Milano. And we're racing in the same weather conditions, same everything. Slipstream OP. Coming through. Yeah, this car is so much better than the other thing. Are we still too wide or not? I don't know. So I think it's one of those things where regardless, you know, that kind of through the Porsche curves there, it still felt like it was trying to do that same thing where like you're sliding like crazy, but your foot to the floor and just nothing's happening. Or like someone in the chat was describing, the you got wet tires on the back. I think with the Porsche, it just is easier to understand that because you have the engine in the back anyways. Whereas I think with the Milano, my brain just was not having it. Whereas this is like, okay, I understand what's going on here. I say that as I throw it into the wall because I decided to brake like 30 meters later. Because you gotta remember, the thing with doing the multi-class with the sports cars and the prototype, you need like 50 dudes committed to doing that. Like, it's not the type of thing where, like, you know, you can put on a GT class race with, you know, 15 cars and be perfectly fine, because that's, you know, a acceptable size. But when you add in, like, the multi-class dynamic and everything, if you want 15 GT class cars, that means with an even class distribution, you're looking at 60 cars per grid. It's just like, it is definitely a lot. Oh, man. Yeah, I think this is the longest I've been in the rig in, like, probably 3, 4, 5 years. And with having to reset everything up, I was trying to make some ergonomic adjustments, because, you know, hey, if you're going to have to rebuild the rig and everything, you might as well go ahead and change some things. So I started with from where I was previously, and then made some changes, and we're nice and comfy. Although I am a little sweaty, which is, this comes with the territory. Also, lap, time out here. I just looked at the lap information and everything over, like, way on the left side, which, sorry guys, I gotta change the HUD settings so that way you guys can see that stuff. So I'm only recording the center screen, obviously, but just notice it said we're on lap 1, which we are most certainly not on lap 1, which last race ended soon, a lap early. So we'll have to see if this race ends a lap early as well, as long as we don't get a black flag again. Also, the AI at this track, just throw it in the bin. It's rubbish. Yep, track limits violation there. So we were supposed to be on lap 2 of 6. Yeah, this works much better if you don't just go ahead and, like, blow past your brake point by a mile. I know that's really hard to believe, but you'll just have to trust me on that one. But yeah, this car is much better than that other thing. Which makes me wonder, like, why is that car so sensitive to everything? Like, if I really cared, I'd probably dig into it, but I just don't. Because, again, let's be real, I'm probably going to never drive that thing again. Because why drive that when you can drive a Porsche? Let's be real. I mean, these are always the type of cars where you either get them or you don't. And personally, I like the way these goofy 911s drive, so that's what I tend to gravitate towards anyways. So, no skin off my back. Yeah, I will say this track with the AI is not working. The AI just takes wrong lines through corners, and they're pretty darn slow anyways. I mean, let's be real. It's not like I'm a particularly great driver, and it's not like I'm trying particularly hard right now. So it's like, you know, you're probably going to run out of skill cap pretty darn soon. Which sucks. It's always one of those things with this track where it just never seems to race right against the AI. There always just seems to be some sort of problem, which it's kind of understandable because it is a unique track with unique demands, you know, with the whole straights being so darn long and everything. Ah, we made a mess of that. There we go. Much better through there. And then we screw up the corner we've been having a nice easy time with the whole time. Yeah. Sounds about right. Picked up the throttle too early and I make the corner. All Porsche drive like you're strapped to a bullet. You know, I don't know how in the world we just came out the other side of that corner, because that was pretty wild. Also, where's the AI? Where'd they go? But yeah, it's definitely a very different driving style. Also, I feel like this car is perfectly content with being around the curbs, whereas that Milano was just like anytime you got within 3 miles of the thing, it was just like, oh, we spin out now? We spin out now? Yeah, we spin out now. Okay. track limits violations. Come on now. Oh, I'm supposed to make a pit stop? What? So, the game just told me I'm supposed to make a pit stop because we don't have enough fuel on board. Which is curious. Seems like the auto fuel didn't auto fuel like it usually does, I guess. So file that one under the bug reports. So I'm pretty sure we did not change the fuel level for the Milano. And we're doing the exact same race distance, so... So something's going on there. It's not the same corner. Yeah, that corner I'm so used to the modern version where you quite literally just like dab the brakes, downshift a time or two, and then just fling the thing in across the curbs without a care in the world and just come out the other side, you know, because they changed that corner. Whereas here, this version has, like, it's actually a corner. But yet, when you get to the corner, it looks the same, and your brain is like, oh, it's the same corner, you know, just like down a gear and right back into the power immediately. It's no auto fuel, just whatever fuel the setup comes with. I feel like it automatically puts fuel in usually. Unless... I don't know, it's... The setup screen estimate is off. Yeah, I mean, I fully understand the setup screen estimates are off. If you ever watched one of my races, y'all know that I always have way too much fuel on board. It's because I'm so paranoid of that fuel estimate and whatever racing sim always being off and inaccurate that I just like freak out and just say, well, gonna make sure we have extra fuel on board. Which, better safe than sorry, but you are leaving time on the table. That is curious, though, that if that two cars in the same class, the default setup has that much wildly different fuel level in it. Which, let's be real, it's my fault for not checking. I will fully take the blame. That is operator error. There's a fuel loading bug from the sub screen, or at least there had been. Well, we ran out of fuel, and we were... How was... Oh, because the track limit's saying, so yeah, we were 3 seconds a lap faster, so... Yeah, I don't know, man. That was weird. Sorry for making you guys all yawn, but you know, it happened. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and I think we'll call that a stream. And oh, they changed the icons too. That's cool. Unless I hadn't noticed that before, but I was in here just the other day, and I feel like those are new icons, because that seems like a Riza things to do, to just change icons and names and make it so that way I don't remember what in the world anything is and make it all too confusing for myself. Not that they actually do that on purpose, but I feel like that's happened way more with this game than any other game for some reason, and I'm just kind of a little salty about it. Yeah. Hey, moron, they're sorted alphabetically, you know? Yeah, I know. So I'm going to just go ahead and say, we're going to go ahead and end the stream there. And in terms of content this week, I got a race from the last week with the LMP2 cars at Sebring. In Le Mans Ultimate, that'll be going live probably like in the next day or two, just to give that video a little bit of time to breathe, and then we'll do some more racing and all that stuff. And hopefully the streams will become more of a regular thing, because I think it does make sense for the type of content I was doing anyways, and therefore probably the type of viewers you guys probably like this stuff. But so yeah, we're back in action, so we'll have fun. But I will say, the standout of this package, just because it is so hilarious. Wait a minute, what? Okay, guys, this car was hilarious, and therefore it's a standout. But you notice how it says low downforce? Well, we have Le Mans selected. What if we select a high downforce track? Okay, it says nothing. Makes sense. But what happens if I have this car selected and then we go to Le Mans? Are we going to be like glitched out with... Okay, looks like it's saying that it switched to downforce. But yeah, if you have this pack, give this the turbo a go, because it's hilarious how much of a missile that thing is. So anyways,